Fine. So we have very less participants. We will wait for 1 more minute and then we can start. Okay. Okay. Fine. So hope I am audible because I have not got any response from you people. I am assuming that I'm audible. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Once you're able to see my screen, just say yes in chat box so that we can start. Is it my screen visible? Anybody? Confirm please in chat box. Okay. Yes, it is visible. Fine. So from today onwards, we are starting discussing with IS 107, which is chemical safety. So in last week, we have completed IS 106. So from today, we are going to talk about chemical safety. So it is going to be a long chapter, or I mean to say a long paper comparatively with other papers. And after that, we have IS 108. So that we have touched up in 103 as well. So IS 107 won't take much time. Okay. Yeah. So when we say chemical safety, so here we talk about various kinds of chemical operations or unit processes or unit operations, etc. We talk about MSDS. We talk about the different storage mechanisms of the chemicals. We talk about different forms of the chemicals and how they are going to harmful for the people and the environment, etc., etc. Okay. First of all, we will see the uh, purpose of this chemical safety and how these chemicals are became one of the part of the human life. Or without chemicals, even our day never starts. So I'll give a best example of our toothpaste. So that is also one form of a chemical compound. Without that, our day never starts. Maybe some of them they may start with bed coffee without having any brush they used to have. But the basic example, or most of the Indians, the day starts with a chemical. Okay, we'll see some of the examples. So because it is a parcel and part of our day-to-day activities, so the safest and also simplest way to avoid the chemical hazards and their ill health effect is avoid a chemical industry itself, but it is possible, and the place of chemical industry can be selected or shifted, but there is no it. I mean, but it has to run somewhere on the earth, but its place in our life has become inevitable because of the following reasons. So we can't avoid the chemical industry. Somewhere in the world it has to run, either in India, Germany, Japan, US, etc. If you compare with in India, either AP, Telangana, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, somewhere else, it has to run because we can't avoid that sector. due to it became an integral part of our day-to-day activities. We'll see some of the reasons why can't we avoid this chemical industry. Because 1 second please. Okay, sorry. So why can't we avoid these chemicals? Because of these many reasons. We can see the a few reasons here. One is in home we need cement, plasters, tiles, paint, and polywood, glasses, plastic curtains, and TVs or tubes, etc. And the kitchen waste we have gas, flue, matches, heating appliances, metals, and ceramic dishes. And even we have in the healthware, we used to take the multiple drugs, different kinds of medicines we used to consume. They used to work. So definitely, the chemical industry is very useful for the national production and also creation of the employment. So it is therefore not possible to avoid or prevent the chemical industry, and also only way remains for us to run this industry safely by identifying, avoiding, and controlling its hazards. So as we know, it is very important. As we know, it is very helpful for the nation's growth because it creates so much employment. So we can't avoid it. But how we can maintain it? By identifying the and avoiding the controlling the hazards. So whatever the hazards which are associated with this in the chemical industry, by effectively identifying those hazards, we can able to avoid or minimize the accidents. Okay,
Sir, అది డిస్ప్లే అవ్వట్లేదు సార్. ఇదేనో
1 second.
డిస్ప్లే.
I'll reshare again. Thanks.
ఓకే.
Is it visible now?
ఓకే ఓకే సార్.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So, so for the identification of these hazards, so one of the best way it is MSDS. So by studying and identifying the chemical hazards using MSDS material safety data sheet, and also system of classic or packaging labeling should be developed, and also select a safe technology for the processing of these chemicals, and also select the safer siting of the chemical industry for minimizing loss to man, material, and environment. And also, it is nothing but giving approvals. So where a chemical industry can be set up. So you can't set up which is industry which is very close to the where we have a dense population. సో సింపుల్గా చెప్పాలంటే కెమికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీ అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. దానివల్ల మనకి ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ కలుగుతుంది. సో దేశం కూడా దాని గ్రోత్ కూడా పెరుగుతుంది, జీడిపి గ్రోత్ కూడా పెరుగుతుంది. సో బట్ ఈ కెమికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీ మనం అవాయిడ్ చేయలేము ఈ రీజన్స్ వల్ల. కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే దాన్ని ఎలా మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి, అందులో ఉండే ప్రమాదాలను ముందుగానే గుర్తించి వాటిని కంట్రోల్ చేస్తూ ఉండాలి. దానివల్ల ఏంటంటే ప్రమాదాలు జరగకుండా ఉంటే ఎట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఇట్ విల్ బి హెల్పింగ్ టు ద పీపుల్, బట్ అల్టిమేట్లీ ఇట్ విల్ గివ్స్ దిన్ నేషనల్ గ్రోత్. సో ఎట్లా ఐడెంటిఫై చేస్తాం? సో ఎంఎస్డిఎస్లు చదవడం వల్ల, సో అందులో ప్యాకేజింగ్ ప్రాపర్ ప్యాకేజింగ్ చేయటం, లేబులింగ్ని ఉపయోగించి దాని యొక్క ప్రమాదాన్ని తెలియపరచడం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనకి ఎన్ఎఫ్పిఏ లేబులింగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. సో ఎన్ఎఫ్పిఏ లేబులింగ్లు ఏంటి, మనకి ఒక డైమండ్ కలర్ సింబల్ ఉంది, అందులో 4 కలర్స్ వైట్, బ్లూ, ఎల్లో అండ్ రెడ్. సో ఒక్కొక్క కలర్ ఇట్ ఇండికేట్స్ రెడ్ ఫైర్ హజార్డ్, if it is in yellow it indicates the reactivity, if it is in a blue it indicates health hazard. That is one kind of labeling. And also selection of safer technology, అంటే ఒక మంచి టెక్నాలజీని కూడాను మనం అడాప్ట్ చేసుకోగలగాలి. సో దానివల్ల ఏంటంటే ఏదైనా అన్వాంటెడ్ ఆర్ అన్ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ రియాక్షన్స్ ఏమైనా జరిగిన, సో ఎగ్జోథర్మిక్ రియాక్షన్స్ ఏమైనా జరిగిన ప్లాంట్లో ఇవి పేలుడు జరగకుండా ఉండేదానికి ఆస్కారం ఉంటుంది. Then a safe siting, which means where you would like to set up an industry. So always we prefer these kind of industries where we have very less population, and also where we have abandoned lands, or where it is suitable for setting up of these industries. Basically they'll look for uh, the industries which will be a bit far from the dense population, because to avoid major damage. Okay. Okay. So then design and construction of the factory with all the safety precautions from the very beginning. So that's where we have discussed about hazard operability study. So these can be used in the design phase as well. So whatever the safety requirements which are required for the factory or to run the factory for the processes, we have to implement all those designs. And workplace hazards inside the factory should be controlled by good engineering controls, safe work methods, or operating procedures, and using PPAs. So whatever the workplace hazards, so within the factory should be controlled by good engineering controls. So when I say engineering controls, again it is a hazard hierarchy control. So as I said, the best control is always engineering controls, because most of the cases or most of the times we may not have options to eliminate or substitute those hazards, so that it is better to always go with an engineering control. So all requisite safety devices, fittings, instruments, equipment, machines, etc. must be provided and also well maintained. So whatever the safety devices required, for example, safety relief valve or pressure relief valves, and also rupture disc or sensors or NRVs or breathing valves, all these wherever it is required, it has to be provided in the process or implement in the process, and also it has to be maintained. అంటే భద్రతా సంబంధించిన ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్ అన్నీ కూడాను వాడాలి, దాంతోపాటుగా వాటిని ప్రాపర్గా మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. and workers must be properly trained for a safe operation of the plant and their role in emergency planning and control. So emergency planning and controlling, and also safe operation. So they should train for their activities. So what they have to do. So for example, if a production chemist joins, so we have to train him on our batch process, and also we have to train him on the controls which we have on the reactor, and we have to train on the application of utilities, and also we have to train on the emergency controls also. And apart from that, we have to have emergency planning and controlling. When we say emergency planning, we have to do some of the mock drills. They have to train on in case of emergency rises. So how emergency can be indicated. So how they can able to understand, okay, there is an emergency situation. If there is an emergency situation at their specific area, definitely yes, they will understand. The emergency which is created or which is activated in the other block of the process or in the unit. So how they can identify? Definitely we have an emergency alarm system. So whenever emergency arises, definitely we have manual call points. We'll activate the fire alarm system so that everybody can hear it. They can evacuate from the building. So all these things has to be trained. So ఎప్పుడైతే మనము ఎవరైతే వ్యక్తులు జాయిన్ అవుతారో ఏదైనా కెమికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీ జాయిన్ అప్పుడు ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి కూడాను మనము వాళ్ళ పనికి సంబంధించిన ట్రైనింగ్ అనేది ఇవ్వాలి. సో కెమిస్ట్ అయితే కెమిస్ట్ ట్రైనింగ్ ఇస్తాము. ఈవెన్ విల్ హ్యావ్ అమాలీస్ ఆల్సో అండ్ టేక్ కేర్ వర్కర్స్ ఆర్ ఇంజనీర్స్. ఈవెన్ వీ హ్యావ్ పీపుల్ ఇన్ క్వాలిటీ R&D మెయింటెనెన్స్. ఈవెన్ ద మెయింటెనెన్స్ ఈస్ డిఫరెంట్ from engineering industry. The maintenance is different in chemical industry. So everybody has to train on whatever the potential hazards which are present in their activity, and also the existing controls. అంటే వాళ్ళు చేసే పనిలో ఎటువంటి ప్రమాదాలు ఉన్నాయో ఆ ప్రమాదాల గురించి చెప్తూ దాంతో పాటుగా ప్రస్తుతం ఉన్న సేఫ్టీ కంట్రోల్స్ ఏంటి వాటి గురించి కూడా చెప్పాలి. So if you are telling about only hazards, they'll get fear. So from tomorrow, they won't come to the office or they won't come to the factory. So you have to tell them, okay, these are the hazards in your activity. You should be careful while performing your activities, and these are the set of do's and don'ts while you are performing your duties. And also, these are the list of safety equipments or safety controls which are existing in the process. అంటే మన ప్రాసెస్లో ఉన్న ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ సేఫ్టీ కంట్రోల్స్ గురించి కూడాను మనం మాట్లాడాలి. లేదు అంటే భయపడి రేపు నుంచి వాడికి డ్యూటీ రావడం మానేస్తాడు. Then point number 8, safe transportation and handling of hazardous chemicals within and outside the factory premises. So this is also very important. So when we say safe transportation, so within the plant, how we transport the chemical? Can anybody quickly respond? Within the plant, how we will transport the chemical? Quickly. అంటే ప్లాంట్ లోపల మనము కెమికల్ ఎలా
by pump, by
ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్
line.
చేస్తాం? సారీ,
లైన్స్ సాల్వెంట్ లైన్స్ సార్ టు ట్యాంకర్
లైన్స్. When we say
సాల్వెంట్
you mean pipelines, Ramakrishna?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, pipelines. Okay, ఇంకా ఇంకా ఎట్లా తీసుకెళ్తుంటాం కెమికల్ని?
Storage tanks and
రవీంద్ర చెప్పండి, నాగ రవీంద్ర.
It may be to HDPs, high density polyethylene bag, to dispose into hazardous waste outside the factory.
Your tins
Oh,
can
hi.
cylinders.
Okay, perfect.
HDPs,
Yes, yeah, we
HDP,
use
high
I mean
density.
different, yeah, different types of barrels, HDP, even metal barrels, or sometimes P also, polyethylene. I'm not sure. Even we use glass bottles also for especially for the R&D. They use only smaller in quantities, hardly 5 liters or 2 liters or half liter or 1 liter. Even we use glass bottles also. I mean, these are different ways of transporting of chemical. Majorly happens with pipelines. Then following that, we have different capacities of the barrels or cans or etc. Okay, very good. Thanks. That is how
Okay.
we do transportation within the facilities. అంటే ఒక మన కంపెనీ ప్రెమిసెస్లోకి వచ్చిన తర్వాత అలా మనం ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేసుకుంటాం. సో అవుట్ సైడ్ అంటే మనకి ఎక్సెప్ట్ పైప్ లైన్, ఈవెన్ అవుట్ సైడ్ అంటే మనకి త్రూ పైప్ లైన్ కూడా ఉంది. అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ ది పైప్ లైన్ వీ యూస్ టు డూ బల్క్ క్యారియర్స్ లైక్ wagons or tankers. Even we use
Like
barrels.
effluent pipelines, sir.
Sorry.
The effluent pipelines. Like
Yes, even effluent pipelines,
along.
even we have ONGC gas line pipelines. That is also an example outside
Yes.
the premises.
Okay.
Gas pipelines also one of the example. It passes thousands of kilometers or lakhs of kilometers. We
Yes, sir.
use chemical tankers. That is also one of the transport we do outside our premises. And even we do barrels also. You buy barrel chemical in barrels from your supplier. From it will transfer from the supplier to your premises. That is also outside. Once it is uh, entered into your premises, then we can call it as within the site or inside the premises. Okay, these are the different ways of transportation of a chemical. Okay, next, and safe disposal of hazardous waste within and outside the premises. So when we say safe disposal, what are the various disposal mechanism we follow quickly? Safe disposal.
అంటే వాటికి వాటికి సూటబుల్ అయిన సాల్వెంట్ యూజ్ చేయాలండి డిస్పోజల్ ప్రొసెస్ అంటే ఎల్డిపి బ్యాగ్స్
ఫర్
కెమికల్
ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక వేస్ట్ మీ ఫ్యాక్టరీలో జనరేట్ అవుతుందంటే దాన్ని మీరు సేఫ్గా ఎలా డిస్పోజ్ చేస్తారు?
Vendor
First,
identify
we want
the
to follow
hazardous.
within the people.
One by one, one by one.
Inc-
Okay, I ask Ravindra to speak.
Incineration.
Uh, First of all, we want to instead within like a proper PPE, sir.
Okay, leave about the
Hello.
method or practice, how you dispose. So what kind of options we have? Safe disposal కి మనకి టెక్నాలజీస్ ఏమున్నాయి? Yes, I know.
Incineration.
Sorry?
Incineration. Incineration.
Incineration. So when we say incineration, it is basically a thermal process where you burn out the waste. It will turn to
Yes, sir.
ashes. Okay, what is the other practice?
Sir, we will identify hazardous waste carrier.
Okay, that is
Like,
outside the premises. Yes.
right, sir. In drums, we can dispose of waste oil.
Yeah, that will be, we send it to the authorized recyclers, which are
Vendor,
approved
yes.
by the local PCBs or central PCBs. So
Right.
they are the only people should collect the recycle or whatever the waste which will come out from the premises. So basically, most of the industries, when I say within the premises, mostly will have incineration with respect to the hazardous waste. With respect to ETP or other effluents, we have STP and ETP, and definitely some of the units they use in their processes. Otherwise, mostly it will go to a garden, and the sludge will again it will go to a authorized recycler, or it will go for any thermal incineration process. And when we see outside, so we have option of incineration, we have option of recycling, and we have an option of landfilling, and different types of co-process or co-generation. Sometimes they use this waste to generate into electricity. I can say in a best example of municipal solid waste. So most of the municipal solid waste, it is used for the cogeneration plants. So they burn it, and from that heat energy, they convert into electrical energy. Okay, those are the different types of waste. And it is talking about the safe disposal. So when we say a safe disposal, so whatever the waste which is generated, it should not contaminate, it should not create harm to environment and also people. When I say environment, what is environment? Environment and ఏంటి?
Living atmosphere.
Okay. సో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్లో ఏమేమి ఉంటాయి?
Land, air, and water.
గ్యాసెస్ ఉంటాయండి.
సో when I say environment, basically it will refers the surroundings. ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ఏం చెప్పొచ్చు? మన చుట్టూ ఉండే పరిసరాలు. సో చుట్టూ ఉండే పరిసరాలు ఏముంటుంది? గాలి, నీరు, వాతావరణం, తర్వాత చెట్లు, నేల అన్నీ ఉంటాయి. సో when I say safe disposal, it should not create harm to the environment. అంటే గాలిని కానీ, నీటిని కానీ, తర్వాత నేలను కానీ అది పొల్యూట్ చేయకూడదు. ఎట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ ద లివింగ్ బీయింగ్స్ ఇన్ ది అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ది ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్, it should not also create a hazard or harm to those are living beings. Like I can say people. So people, we feel we are the precious living being in the world. Everybody think that okay, we are the luckiest, that's why we born as a humans, otherwise we would have born as a dog or something animal, etc., etc. So whatever the waste which is generated, it should not create any harm to the living beings as well as non-living beings. Okay, it has to be disposed. So in such case, what we do for that, we need safe segregation process, and it has to be stored properly, and it has to be treated properly. Then only it will not create any harm to the people, which means living beings and also non-living beings. Okay, that is the safe disposal. So for that, how you are handling it is different. So you use PPEs, you use automation process, or you use what do you call a coating to avoid the penetration of the moisture or the liquid into the land, and you avoid leak proof containers, or you take secondary containment bins in case of any leakage or spillage happens, or you use different kinds of bags to collect some of the waste. What will happen, it will generate the fumes or vapors. Even those vapors also will pollute the atmosphere. So use different types of bags to avoid the generation of such the fumes or which is mixing with the atmosphere. Then well monitoring and control of hazardous substance at workplace, of occupational ill effects and diseases by pre and periodical medical examinations of the workers. So well monitoring and control of hazardous substances. So the point number 1, point number 10 talks about a well saying sentences. Prevention is better than a cure. అంటే ఏంటంటే దెబ్బ తగలకుండా చూసుకోవడం అనేది చాలా ఉత్తమమైన పని. అంటే తగిలిన తర్వాత మందులు రాసుకోవడం కంటే తగిలించుకోకుండా ఉండడం చాలా మంచి పని. దట్ ఈస్ ఫార్ బెటర్ దెన్ క్యూరింగ్ యువర్ ఇంజురీస్. చెయ్యి గట్టి అయిపోయిన తర్వాత నేను పౌడర్ వేసుకుంటాను అని చెప్పేసి కత్తితో ఆడకూడదు కదా. సో వీ షుడ్ బి కేర్ఫుల్. So that's why we have to monitor our atmosphere, because if you compare two industries, I take an example of engineering industry, where we have most of the equipments are CNC machines, where basically they will take an iron a piece, or they will take a different shape, and they will basically take out the excess metal which is on that a piece of steel, and they will do some threading or boring. I think we'll just take a steel pipe. They have to make a round shaped pipe, and end of the pipe they have to give a threading. That's all. And same way you compare with the chemical industry, where they will manufacture or they produce sulfuric acid. So both industries, the manpower is same, the size of the plant is same, but the process is different. The equipments are different. The equipment functioning is different. అంటే ఒక్కొక్క రకమైన ఇంజనీరింగ్ ఇండస్ట్రీలో చూసుకుంటే, కెమికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీలో చూసుకుంటే అక్కడ వాడే యంత్రాలు వేరు, అక్కడ ఉపయోగించే ముడి పదార్థాలు, ద రా మెటీరియల్ ఇస్ కంప్లీట్లీ డిఫరెంట్. అండ్ ఆల్సో ద వర్కింగ్ కండిషన్స్, ద పారామీటర్స్, working parameters of the process is completely different. So that's why we need a regular monitoring and also a periodical medical examinations. So why we need periodical medical examinations? Before it is turning into an occupational disease. So as we know, the Factors Act Schedule 3 is talking about the occupational diseases. Before it is turning to an occupational disease, so if you identify it in early stages, what will happen? Definitely you will take a proper measures. So when I say proper measures, if you identified in periodical examinations, if you found that, we'll give him a proper rest interval, or we do an job rotation, we'll shift him to another department, or we will implement some engineering controls so that we can avoid the exposure of, further exposure of that hazard. అంటే మధ్య మధ్యలో మనము ఈ మెడికల్ టెస్ట్లు అనేది చేయటం వల్ల ఎవరైనా వ్యక్తులు ఆ యొక్క ప్రమాదానికి లేదా ఎక్స్పోజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటే మనకు తెలుస్తుంది, దాని సిమ్టమ్స్ అనేవి తెలుస్తూ ఉంటాయి. సో దానివల్ల ఏంటంటే మనము వాళ్ళని అక్కడి నుంచి వేరే జాబ్కి ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేయటము, లేదంటే అక్కడ ఏమైనా ఇంజనీరింగ్ కంట్రోల్స్ ఏమైనా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయగలిగితే ఇంజనీరింగ్ కంట్రోల్స్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయటము, లేదంటే ఆ ప్రాసెస్ని రీప్లేస్ చేయటము, అంటే దానికి సంబంధించిన యాక్షన్స్ అనేవి తీసుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఓకే, as we seen, okay, different types, and also why, or some of the suggestions to follow for better handling of this chemical industry. Now we'll see need of safety in chemical industry. So as we know, through safety is in each field in the equal importance, as well as safety in chemical field needs more attention because of its specific nature. So especially safety అనేది కెమికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్లో చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్, కంపారిటివ్లీ ఇంజనీరింగ్, కంపారిటివ్లీ పేపర్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్, comparatively coffee manufacturing, comparatively other products or milk powder or milk processing industries or any other food processing industries. The chemical industries is completely different. We should take utmost care because of its specific nature. So when we say specific nature, anybody can guess what are the different types of chemicals? I expect answers from experienced people. What are the different types of chemicals?
Sir, in the nature, like toxic, hazardous chemicals.
No, the hazardous, it is a generic this thing.
Okay.
When I say, I'll give a hint. UN classification of chemicals. There, most of the chemicals have been classified into majorly 9. So, if I'll give a hint, flammable liquids,
Okay, flammable liquids, flammable gases,
or flammable solids, or
explosive,
explosives, corrosives,
toxic,
oxidizing,
corrosive. Yeah.
radioactive, and also flammable gases. Then miscellaneous. I think maybe I have missed one or two. I'm sorry. So those are the UN classification of chemicals. If you could see any one of the chemical which you are using, definitely it will fall under that specific categorization. Either it will fall under flammable liquid, or unflammable liquids, or flammable solids, explosives, corrosives, oxidizing, radioactive, or miscellaneous. When I say miscellaneous, whichever the chemical which will not fall all above, so those chemicals will be fall under miscellaneous. Okay, fine. So chemical safety seems more complicated than civil, mechanical, or electrical safety, because each chemical has many properties, many processes, many hazards, and many controls. So because one chemical will have a multiple properties. Okay, some chemical may have a nature of corrosivity, and some chemical will have a nature of a fire hazard. Some of them have a toxic. So few chemical may have all these natures together. అంటే ఒకే కెమికల్ మండే స్వభావం కలిగి ఉంటుంది, తర్వాత టాక్సిక్ అంటే విషపూరితమైనదిగా కూడాను కలిగి ఉండొచ్చు, లేదంటే పేలుడు స్వభావం కూడా కలిగి ఉండొచ్చు. అంటే ఈ 3 రకాలైన స్వభావాలు.